What's up, everybody? Today's video, I'm going to show you this structure that I use to advance my funnels, generate higher quality leads, and this is essentially what I use for everything and where I spend $100,000 a month plus on ads. We do usually around 150 to 200K per month in revenue from our lead sales. And so we're spending around half that on ads because our margins are usually around 50%. And so today I'm going to show you how you can get to this point. How can you actually scale your funnel, generate high quality leads, and do it properly so you're not just flopping over? Because what a lot of people do when they're testing their ads is they run them straight to this super complex funnel and they don't get any leads. And then they don't know what to do next. They're like, well, my quiz isn't converting, my landing page isn't converting. Is it my ads? Is it my lander? What's going on here? So I'm going to show you the step-by-step structure, and then I'm going to show you exactly what we use to build this out on. And then you'll be able to take it and run with it and generate high quality leads for your clients. Because if you can learn how to generate high quality leads, you're going to win. Like if you can actually learn how to do that, that's actually the hardest part, is generating quality leads. Anybody can generate leads and get them for cheap. Generating quality leads that sales teams want, if you can do that, like you're going to have clients coming and saying, give me as many leads as you can get. It's going to be very easy for you. It took me a while to figure this out, but once I had my first client say, give me as many as you can get, I'm like, okay, well, I cracked the code here. Anyways, let's jump on the computer. I'm going to show you a quick diagram, and then we'll go over some of the best practices for this. As always, guys, you can get more in-depth insights on videos like this and concepts like this in Leadbase Pro. You're going to join over 350 other members who are talking about Andromeda and the updates going on right now. We have a really lively community here that I'm really excited about. You can get access to our Generate Leads course and get clients course, as well as the AI lab and a calendar with 2 to 3 weekly calls with myself, my business partner, and other coaches, where we spend as much time as needed going over all of your funnels. I usually spend at least 2 hours on that call, going through every single person who shows up funnels. And guys, it's $99 a month. I'm not going to upsell you on some $10,000 guru mega course above this. This is it. This is where we put everything. I'm updating the course all the time. I just filmed a bunch of new videos because Andromeda rolled out. And so we're always working on this. I'm also very active in the community. I don't know where you can see that. Someone pulled up my how active I was, and it was every single day because I actually spent time in here. Anyways, join Leadbase Pro, $99 a month. All right, guys. So we got a little Excalibur here. And step one, guys, start. It's funny. I put these diagrams into Excalibur and it always does like a start module, but I think it's important to talk about that. A lot of people get analysis paralysis. They're like, well, I got to pick a niche and I got to build a website. I got to pick a brand name and blah, blah, blah. And someone in the group commented that they are pressing on the gas and steering as they go. And I thought that was a pretty good analogy for this. So just start testing, be scientific. Don't assume you know what you're doing. If you think you have the perfect landing page and perfect ad, you're going to fail. Don't think like, I find like a lot of people focus too much on branding and making things perfect. You need to test like 50 ads before you're going to know anything. You need to test like 10 headlines on your landing page. So just start, okay? That's my advice for the day. What we do, and we do this less now because we've done this so many times that we can jump right to a more complex quiz because we understand the nuances of all this, but there are a lot more nuances than you think. Okay, so when we start, we like to do meta lead forms. And so with the new Andromeda update, you want to probably have an ad set that is going to have at least like 10 creatives to start, okay? So we stopped doing like the splitting out of our creatives. We used to do 10 ad sets with 10 creatives, so 1 creative per ad set. With the new Andromeda update, that isn't working quite as well. I think that's something you still could probably do, but you don't need to as much. So inside of the ad set, it's starting to spend more efficiently. So start with a meta lead form, keep the lead form very simple. In the lead form, I basically like to say, do you qualify for X offer? Yeah, do you qualify for this thing? So if it's like solar, see how much you can save on your bill. The lead form would say, do you qualify to save 33% or more on your electricity bill? Something like that. Or if it's life insurance, like do you qualify for these new policies? Please fill out some basic information so we can see if you qualify. Okay, so with any lead form or any landing page or anything, we don't want to give them everything. We want them to be enticed to fill out that form. And so again, do you qualify for X? See if you qualify for X. See if you're eligible for this. We want them to see if they can get something, not just, learn more or, get a quote's kind of lame now. So just again, getting people to go down that funnel that you have, right? So you're going to start with one ad set with about 10 creatives. Creative diversity is very important now with Andromeda. So you need to have a lot of different types of creatives using You know, you can use Revid, you can use captions.ai, which I think is called something different now. You can use Canva, you can use ChatGPT. We have a custom ChatGPT that we've built with all of our learnings from Leadbase that you can go into. This is inside Pro. Sorry to gatekeep, but it's in Pro, and you can go in there and get it to pump out ads, and you can get it to pump out, add creatives and copy, and then it will pump out ad creatives for you. Okay, so just testing a ton of different types of creatives so you can start to see what type of concepts are working. Because even though Andromeda now is going to, it's using create your creatives as the targeting, there's still going to be hooks and offers and creative kind of templates that are going to work best for you. So you need to test like crazy. This is just the way it is, okay? Always be testing every week or two, refresh your creatives in like a sandbox and keep testing. That's the way it is. But once I've got maybe, for me, like I would move past this as quick as possible. Once I've got maybe, you know, like 10 to 20 leads with my lead forms, I would move on to a landing page as soon as possible. So the question becomes like, how new are you? How confident are you? I get all that stuff. I would say just spend maybe $100, $200 if you can afford it, just testing lead forms on your own without sending them to a client. Now you can call these 10 to 20 leads, and if you get 5 of them on the phone, those could be the first leads that you give to your first client. So that could be a really great way to sell your first client. But test, 10 to 20 leads, then go and get your client. I always say go and get the client first, then run your ads. But the thing is, you don't really want to give lead forms to your first client because they're probably not going to be great. But if you put the work in, you call them, you book them for that first client, and their first 5 leads are leads that you've talked to, that's going to be a very, very good impression. In fact, I got my first ever client doing that. Sorry, not my first ever client. Was it my second or third? I called a lead, and they had like this really high timeshare debt amount. It was like $80,000. And I gave that lead to my first client. That was the first lead they got. They're like, this lead's amazing. Like, give us more of these. I didn't call all the leads after that, but it still just gave them this really good impression. They ended up being a long-term client. So that's what you can do with that test. So it's not just like a waste of money, although it's not a waste of money because you're getting data, and data is so important here. You've got your test in, you're going to go and get a client now because you know you've gotten 10 to 20 leads, you know your lead form works. And in the background, sure, if you want to spend another $100 testing your quiz page, you can do that, but I'd rather get paid up front from a client. Let's say you sell, 20 leads for $50, you get $1,000 in. Now I've got $1,000 to work with in testing my landing page, and I just want to break even on that first order with the client, okay? So simple quiz page. Let me pull up some examples of that. Okay, so this is a very simple quiz page. You're not going to use text verification to start. You're just going to get leads on your simple quiz page. Maybe ask two questions here, okay? And so again, the goal of this is that you don't want to just have like a 20 question quiz and get no leads and then be like, what do I do next? You want to test this very incrementally. And I think this is so crucial. And this is what like half of people miss that join Leadbase Pro is they try and do too much at once and they assume they know everything. And the best thing you can do going into a niche is assume you know nothing and let the data tell you what it's going to tell you. This is one of our templates. You'd insert your quiz here. By the way, this is built on Unbounce. The landing page is built on Unbounce. The quiz is built on leadcapture.io. This is like, these are the 2 best. Everyone's like, perspective, hey, flow, blah, blah, blah. I've tested them all. This is what works best. Yes, I have an affiliate code. Use it or don't. I don't care. I'm just telling you this is the best, like for real. In fact, I was chatting with one of our other coaches from Leadbase Pro, George, who's generates an insane amount of leads, does a crazy amount of volume. Very smart guy. Shout out to George. He was saying, so he's got a bit more data on lead capture versus leads hook, which is what we used to use. And I guess you can't really see it here. He basically doubled his conversion rate switching to lead capture because it just loads faster. It's better UI. So again, you can sign up. I think you get, believe it's $50 off when you sign up with our code below. So feel free to use that. I'm legitimately recommending it to you because we use it for everything. We run all our traffic through it. And I also saw the same thing. It wasn't quite a double in conversion rate, but it was like a 50% increase in conversion rate, which is a huge impact on your bottom line. And that's another way to think about, your lead costs. It's this math equation that's going on. If you can double your conversion rate, you've just cut your lead costs in half. And that is such an important thing to think about. Always think about the numbers. And so George didn't even switch anything besides his moving to lead capture. It's like 2.2 to 4.04. That's the worst screenshot ever. My bad. But you get the idea. Okay, guys? So that's important, is that you use the right thing. So again, Unbounce with leadcapture.io. Leadcapture.io is actually creating their own native landing page function right now. And so it's in the early, they're in the early process of launching that. And when that comes out, I think I might, move just solely to leadcapture.io from Unbounce to even further improve loading speeds. If you use Go High Level, honestly, in my experience perspective, I know there's people that have it working for them. For me, it just doesn't work. They load slower and it hurts your cost per lead. I've had like a dozen people in the last month or two reach out and say, wow, I switched to unbounce and lead capture and my conversion rate doubled, because it's just simple little UI things that you don't understand. Like, you change one word on a page and it can make a huge difference. That's a big rant, guys. I'm just fired up about that. It makes such a difference. You guys, I think, overthink a lot of this stuff. And at the end of the day, you just got to test. These little things make such a big difference. So you've got a few leads. You're going to move to your simple quiz page that I just showed you an example of. Again, here's like, this is the basic template that I would recommend people use. It's in Leadbase Pro, but you could literally make it right here if you wanted to with a small quiz. Make sure your first question is a very easy one to answer. Do you live in the United States? You could ask like zip code to get their free quote if it's like home service, or zip code to see if you qualify. Make sure, and I would make this headline better, something like, get your family this in coverage, or see if your family qualifies for this in coverage. Oh, the new Alberta Life Benefit Plan, we're calling it something different. This many people, social proof got approved, okay? So simple quiz page like this. And you might actually end with this format, but you can start to add questions here. So once you know that, like, let's say your lead forms are getting leads for $10, okay? And then you move to a lander and they're 25, okay? So you're like, oh, it's quite a bit more. Should I actually move to lead forms? The truth is, like, these are going to be 5 times better quality, probably. Maybe not 5, but a lot higher quality. And the thing with the $10 lead form is you can only really change the creative to try and get this lead cost down, which is a big lever you can pull, obviously. You might be able to get this down to like $8. Okay, wow, this is the worst Friday I've ever seen in my life. You might be able, looks like graffiti. You might be able to get this down to $8. But the cool thing about this is you can change the creatives, but you can also change your landing page headlines. You can change a bunch of different stuff. And I bet you, if you're starting out at $25 on your quiz page, I'm always like, you're getting that down to $12.50. Okay, so there's a good chance you're able to cut this in half. If this is just like your starting amount, like I've gotten my lead cost down from like this to like $5 on landing pages just by tweaking all these levers that I can pull. Again, my creatives, my hooks, my offers, my headlines, the quiz questions and how they're sequenced, taking things off the page, leaving things on the page. And you want to start with the biggest movers, which are your ad creatives and your landing page headlines. And so what I would do is have, again, your headlines here, split test multiple headlines. And that is why Unbounce is so powerful. You can test unlimited headlines in variants. You could have 10 different headlines running. You could see what's working better. And this is so huge, guys. I just need you to understand this. Like, if you might have a headline converting at 2%, and if you test 10 of them, you'll have one of them converting at 4 or 5, 8%. And you thought the 2% was good. And maybe that's a bad example because that's a terrible conversion rate. But let's say it was 10%. You thought 10% was good. You start testing headlines, you're going to see 15, 18, 20 on that page. I can almost guarantee it because the headline makes such a huge difference. The first thing people see and their lizard brain kicks in, you can make a big, take a huge chunk off your lead cost testing this properly, okay? For example, I've got a headline here that I'm testing, or a landing page, sorry. I've got an 8.24% conversion rate. I wish I had the old data from this. Obviously, got a decent amount of conversions since I've reset this, but you can see here, I'm able to test, I've got 8.46% conversion here. When I started this out, this was 4%. And so I've doubled my conversion rate on the landing page, which again, you're getting leads for $25 and you're like, oh, that's the best I can do. Your leads are $12 now because you cut it in half. So you need to be testing your landing page. Always have variants going on. I'm getting lazy here. As you can see, I've only got 2, but you really should have 3 or 4 going at all times and just trying to best that. I've tried hundreds of variations. All right, the next thing would be adding more quiz questions. Okay, so again, you want to start with an easy question. Zip code. Do you live in the US? Simple thing like that. So I think this one actually, select your age actually worked pretty good. This is easy enough for people to answer. Like you could argue this could be like a turnoff for someone like, oh no, given my age, that's annoying. So you could say, do you live in the USA or do you live in Canada? Do you live in X province, whatever. We start to add more questions do you currently have life insurance? What is your gender? How much coverage are you looking for? Do you have any health conditions? Great. Are you a smoker? No. What province? BC. Okay. And then we dynamically update this. This is done through Unbounce. Hey, it looks like you actually qualify for the amount you're looking for. You may qualify. Do you want to see if you actually qualify? Do you want to actually see if you can lock this in? Okay, so again, enticing them to go further. We need to think about the micro commitments people are making on our landing page. And the more questions we ask, the higher the quality is going to be, but the more friction we're creating, and therefore the higher lead cost in theory we're going to have as well. So that's just something you need to test. So for every question you add, you might see a certain percentage drop off in conversion. but it's going to be worth it because, you know, there's guys in Leadbase Pro who have like 20 to 30 question quizzes, but it actually just, it works. Like they have this flow that's going where they're still getting the leads. Like the difference between 10 questions and 30 questions is maybe it's 50% more per lead. So they're paying, let's just say $10 for a 10 question quiz fill, but they're paying $15 for 30 questions. It's like, you're going to take the 30 question one all day. That is going to be an incredibly good lead. And if you call the person that filled out the 10 question quiz, there's a much less high chance of them remembering filling it out than the 30 question quiz. Not that there's anything wrong with having 10 questions. There's actually quite a few questions, but if you have a lead form versus 10 questions versus 30 questions, the lead form is going to be like, oh, I don't remember filling anything out. That must have been someone else. See ya. Versus the 30 question is like, oh yeah, I took 10 to 15 minutes to get through that. You know, it's going to be a good quality lead. And quality, I'm trying to be cool by writing on here, but it looks like poo. Okay, quality is the name of the game, guys. If you can get quality leads, you're going to win. Next, you're going to test one-time password verification. So text verification to their phone. Okay, so they're going to get a text to their phone. That's going to, you know, get rid of your 15 to 20% of garbage traffic that you have. I run this on 100% of my funnels. Not 100%. Pretty much everything, unless it's like a senior market or I'm testing something. OTP is crucial. You will see a drop off in traffic. And so let's say, you know, you lose 20% of traffic with your OTP and therefore your lead cost goes up by 20%. That's something to consider, but you're just going to need it to have the best quality leads because you're competing against so many other people. Okay. You know, and then further what you're going to do, I would actually pretty much ignore this. You're going to want to use OTP eventually regardless. And then for page variants, you just want to continue to try different variants. You've tested headlines already, but now you want to start to look at, okay, I'm going to try one where the quiz is like looks a little different, or try some different colors, or try some more testimonials, or try maybe more of an evergreen funnel, like a longer form funnel, and then get feedback on quality. This is all a feedback loop that you're going to have with your client, where, you know, evergreen funnels costing you double per lead, but they're closing 5 times more leads. And we've had that exact scenario. And so therefore it's worth it for us to spend double the lead, because when we go to clients and we tell them that our leads cost $100, they're like, well, I pay 50 from someone else. I'm like, yeah, our leads literally close 5 times better. So would you rather pay 100 for a lead that actually closes, or 50 for a lead that sucks? And that actually becomes a pain point that you can press into, when people say, well, leads usually cost this much. And it's like, well, how's that working for you? Why are you on this phone call? You're on this phone call because the leads that you pay $50 for are garbage, and you know it, and we know it. And that's why our funnel is better, and it's worth paying more for leads that actually convert. I've talked to so many people that share this exact sentiment on the lead gen and the buyer side. You can go, you use a VSL if you have a complex product that needs a lot of trust building, you know, something like certain financial products, reverse mortgage, maybe even solar, with like how, you know, people don't really believe in it as much anymore. They think it's a scam. You might need to have a VSL with like more of a personal element to it to build trust. And so these are all things to consider. But at the end of the day, guys, it's important that you go through this sequence. Okay. So don't jump right to a VSL or like an evergreen funnel. That is going to hurt you. You want to start with a lead form. At the very least, guys, if you're going to skip lead forms, I get it, but do a simple quiz page to start, so that if you don't get leads, you can at least figure out like, okay, what's going on here? I can at least look at my CTRs. I can see that my simple quiz page, which is like 2 questions and then some contact information, isn't converting. Let's figure out what the deal is here, versus some mega funnel where you don't know what's going wrong. I just want to talk about this because, again, I think it's a big issue that people are facing. Hopefully this is helpful, guys. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope this helps. You can join Leadbase Pro below. You can get access to all our affiliate links below as well. And if you're having trouble with the quality of your leads, or, you know, any struggles with creative with the new Andromeda rollout, please comment below. I'd be happy to answer them. I try to answer every comment. And so we'll see you in the next video. And thanks for watching.